And I'm going to play some sound from a speech that Paul Ryan gave over the weekend in Florida. Now, I'm surprised that there isn't more outrage from the right wing about this speech. Because really, I'm going to play some excerpts from this speech, and it might as well be Barack Obama saying these words. I mean, nobody would think that this is a Republican talking. You would think this is big government Barack Obama. In fact, if Barack Obama said any of this stuff, I'm sure the Republicans would jump all over it as proof that he's a socialist. But yet, Paul Ryan can say all this stuff, and what? Where's the outrage? I mean, I'm outraged, but what if any other, the more established mainstream conservative talk show hosts, I wonder if they're going to come out and criticize Paul Ryan for saying this stuff, or are they just going to fall in line with the bandwagon and pretend that it's just going to be Morning in America, Nirvana, if we can elect Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney, because they're so partisan, they can't see beyond those partisan labels to understand that there really is very little difference between the two other than their rhetoric. And sometimes their rhetoric isn't even any different. It's exactly the same. So I'm going to play some sound. Now, this is how pathetic this is. Paul Ryan brought his elderly mother. I don't know if she's that old. I think she's in her 60s or 70s. I'm not sure how old Paul Ryan's mom is. But he brought her down there to Florida to hold her out, right, because she's on Medicare, so that he can profess his love for Medicare and pledge his undying allegiance to preserving Medicare. Right? Now, this is a guy, right, that hates Obamacare. Well, if you hate Obamacare, why do you hate Medicare? I mean, isn't basically what it boils down to is Obamacare is Medicare for everybody. I mean, it's Medicare, only better, right? So if you despise Obamacare, how can you love Medicare so much? It's the same concept. It's socialization of health care. It's basically saying that the free market doesn't work when it comes to health care, and we need the government to step in and fill the void. Right? Wasn't that what Barack Obama says? The free market doesn't work. We need government. Right? We can't trust the free market to provide health care. We can't trust individuals to save for their own retirement, to provide for their own health care. The government has to step in and do it. Right? Well, that's exactly what Paul Ryan believes. Paul Ryan has no confidence in the free market, and he believes in the welfare state. He doesn't believe in individual responsibility and self-reliance. He doesn't think that people should take care of themselves or their own family. He believes that everybody should be a ward of the state. He believes that everybody should be able to take whatever they want from the public and live off of that. He believes that one individual has a right to the productivity of another individual. And in fact, he's bringing out his own mother to personify that, to be the face of this social welfare state that Paul Ryan is committing, right? Pledging his allegiance, that he will defend it, that if he is vice president, we will not cut one nickel from the biggest of all government programs that is growing more rapidly than any other program. He is pledging his allegiance to make sure that he preserves that for not only for his generation, but for all generations to come. I'm going to play this unbelievable sound from this Democrat in Republican clothing when we come back. So stick around. Yes, that we are going to continue the discussion about the modicum of a difference between the supposed extremes of Paul Ryan and Barack Obama, when there's a lot more similarities than there are differences. As the sound I'm about to play you from Paul Ryan's speech in Florida, not much different than the speech that Barack Obama would give, at least this particular portion of it, in which Paul Ryan is, basically committing himself to preserving and maintaining one of the biggest government programs in our lifetimes, and certainly the fastest growing program as far as expenditures. Maybe Social Security is still a bigger net expenditure, but of course he defends Social Security the same way he defends Medicare. So these are huge, enormous government programs that are growing like cancers, and Paul Ryan doesn't want to do a thing about it. In fact, he's glad that it's happening, and he wants to make sure that nobody else does anything about it. As long as he, has a breath in his body, he will fight till the bitter end to make sure that no government programs are actually cut. But here he is, Paul Ryan, at his finest, right, or in Florida. He's at actually a retirement village, I guess. But here he is, cut number 12.
My grandma moved in with us, with my mom and me, when I was in high school. She had advanced Alzheimer's. My mom and I were her two primary caregivers. You learn a lot about life. You learn a lot about your elderly seniors in your family. You learn a lot about Alzheimer's. Medicare was there for our family, for my grandma when we needed it then, and Medicare is there for my mom while she needs it now, and we have to keep that guarantee.
All right, so there you have it. Paul Ryan is talking about how Medicare was there for his grandmother. Well, conservatives were fighting against Medicare when it was first proposed. Barry Goldwater, right? A lot of people will go back and look at Barry Goldwater with fond memories. He helped, he was he led the foundation for Ronald Reagan, right? He didn't vote for Medicare. He was against Medicare. Medicare is a huge government program. In fact, Medicare was the Obamacare of its day. And true conservatives were against Medicare, yet now you hear Paul Ryan going back and saying how grateful he is that his grandmother got Medicare. Now, of course, he also talks about how his mother is now on Medicare, and he's grateful that she is on Medicare. Why? I mean, can't Paul Ryan take care of his mother? Why does society have to take care of Paul Ryan's mother? The Ryans, Mr. and Mrs. Paul Ryan, I think from their disclosures, they're earning $500,000 a year. And his mother, I think, or his wife, inherited about $5 million recently. So they're millionaires. They can't take care of their mother. They want that entire audience to take care of Paul Ryan's mother. He ought to be ashamed of himself. Why can't he take care of his own mother? And why couldn't his mother and his father have taken care of themselves? Why do they have to be wards of the state? Why does everybody have to be on welfare? Right now, I know Paul Ryan thinks, well, it's not really welfare because my mother paid into it. No, she didn't. Nobody paid into anything. That is the con. People paid taxes. I don't care how the government labeled those taxes if you want to make it sound better, right? You want to make people feel better about paying taxes. So tell them they're buying some kind of insurance policy with their taxes. But it was all a lie told to us by big government, a lie which Paul Ryan now supports and now repeats as if it were true. But Paul Ryan would have to acknowledge that the amount of money that his grandmother and now his mother were paid and are being paid in Medicare benefits far exceeds anything they might have paid in taxes or they did pay in taxes that may have gone into Medicare. They're getting a windfall. Where is that money coming from? Where is that windfall coming from? It's coming from the taxpayer. It's coming from the same source that welfare is paid and food stamps are paid. There is no difference. And when Paul Ryan says he wants to make sure that no one over 55 gets a cut in what they were promised, then he wants to make sure that everybody under 55 gets stuck with the bill. And why? Somehow, does one generation have a moral right to enslave a future generation? All right. Do people under 55 have to pay a tremendous amount of money so that Paul Ryan can buy his way into the White House, into the vice presidency? Right? Is that fair? Is that free market capitalism? Well, actually, play that clip again. The one about tennis. Cut 13.
My mom has been on Medicare for over 10 years, and I won't tell you exactly how many years, over 10 years, she's been on it. She plays tennis every week. She exercises every day. She planned her retirement around this promise that the government made her because she paid her payroll taxes into this program what she had this promise with. That's a promise we have to keep.
But that's a promise we can't keep because she was lied to by the government. The government promised her something that future generations cannot afford. And so what is Paul Ryan's solution? Condemn these future generations to confiscatory levels of taxation so that they are impoverished, so that his mother can continue to reap what she thought she was going to get when he is in perfectly good financial condition to take care of his mother. And obviously, I mean, his mother's not sickly. She's playing tennis every week. I mean, worst case scenario, maybe she gets a part-time job. If she can play tennis, she can get a part-time job. She can help pay for her own health care. Her son, who's done so well, right, can show his appreciation to the mother who raised him by helping to pay for her health care. But no, Paul Ryan doesn't want any responsibility for his mother. He wants society to take care of his mother. He believes in socializing care for the elderly, not individual self-reliance, not the family, but the state. That's Paul Ryan, right? It doesn't matter what he says, right, about believing in the free market. Does he? Or maybe he's lying. Maybe he does believe in the free market. He just wants to get elected. And he thinks, gee, you know, the Republicans want their cake and eat it too, right? Republican voters want to talk about limited government and cutting government spending, but not when it comes to the programs that benefit them. So there are plenty of Republicans who are retired. They want small government, just not when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. Then they want enormous government, right? Then they want massive government spending as long as the money is being spent on them. They're only opposed to government spending when somebody else is getting the money. But you have to be consistent. If you really are conservative, if you really believe in small government, and then you got to believe in it consistently, you can't exempt entitlements. Hey, we got a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.